Why is Zach Wolchuk suddenly going full attack mode on the Cowboys, and why now? While parts of the fanbase are celebrating Christian Parker as a fresh defensive mind, Wolchuk isn't buying the hype at all. He's questioning the hire, calling out Dallas' free agency approach, and warning that the draft plan could backfire fast. Is this tough love the Cowboys need, or proof the front office is still stuck in old habits? One comment he made about Parker's role behind the scenes raised eyebrows, and it might change how fans view this entire offseason strategy. Zach Wolchuk has officially entered the Cowboys conversation, and let me tell you right now, this is not just noise. This is not just another talking head yelling into the void. This is someone who knows how to stir the pot and say exactly what a lot of Cowboys fans are already thinking but maybe don't want to admit out loud. Because when Zach Wolchuk joins the attack on the Cowboys, he doesn't come in quietly, he doesn't tiptoe around feelings, and he definitely doesn't sugarcoat reality. He comes in swinging, and this time the targets are very clear: the direction of the team, the Christian Parker hire, the front office's free agency strategy, and what the Cowboys are actually doing heading into the draft. And the timing of this could not be more perfect or more uncomfortable for the Dallas Cowboys, because this is a franchise that once again finds itself stuck in the same old cycle. High expectations, loud promises, vague optimism, and then silence when it comes to real action. Zach Wolchuk didn't just criticize for the sake of criticism. He laid out frustrations that have been building for years, frustrations that explode every offseason when fans realize that Dallas is more interested in being cautious than being dangerous. One of the biggest flashpoints in Wolchuk's comments is Christian Parker, and let's be real, Cowboys fans were already split the moment that hire was announced. On paper, Parker is young, energetic, and comes from a defensive background that the Cowboys believe can evolve into something special. But Zach Wolchuk didn't buy the hype, and he wasn't afraid to say it. He questioned whether this move was about actual football innovation or just another example of Dallas convincing themselves that internal development will magically fix structural issues. And that's the thing that keeps coming up with this team. The Cowboys love potential. They love the idea of what someone could become. But Zach Wolchuk made it very clear that potential doesn't win playoff games, execution does. Experience does. Proven results do. And when you're a team that constantly falls short in January, rolling the dice on unproven leadership starts to feel less like bravery and more like denial. Wolchuk's criticism of Christian Parker wasn't personal, and that's important to understand. He wasn't attacking the man, he was attacking the process. He questioned why a franchise with Super Bowl aspirations keeps choosing the safest possible route instead of the bold one. Why does Dallas always believe they're one internal tweak away from greatness? Why is the front office so confident that continuity alone will fix issues that have been exposed year after year on the biggest stage? And then came the free agency discussion, and this is where Zach Wolchuk really sounded off. Because if there is one thing Cowboys fans are tired of hearing, it's that Dallas likes their guys. That phrase has become a meme, a joke, and honestly a source of anger. Wolchuk went after that mindset hard, pointing out that liking your guys is fine, but trusting them blindly while the rest of the league aggressively upgrades is how you fall behind without even realizing it. He talked about how free agency isn't about reckless spending, it's about strategic aggression. It's about identifying weaknesses and attacking them before the draft even begins. But once again, the Cowboys appear content to sit back, watch other teams make moves, and then tell their fans that patience will pay off. Zach Wolchuk wasn't buying it, and neither are a lot of fans who have watched this movie too many times. What really made his comments resonate is that he connected free agency failures directly to draft pressure. When you don't address obvious needs in free agency, you force the draft to become a miracle solution. Every pick becomes do or die. Every rookie is expected to contribute immediately. And that's not fair to young players, and it's not a smart way to build a championship roster. Wolchuk emphasized that the Cowboys have put themselves in this position by choice. This isn't bad luck. This isn't misfortune. This is philosophy. A philosophy that prioritizes financial flexibility and internal comfort over outside disruption. And while that might look good on spreadsheets, it hasn't translated to postseason success. Then he turned his attention to the draft, and this is where the conversation got really interesting. Because Zach Wolchuk acknowledged something important: the Cowboys are actually good at drafting. Nobody can deny that. Dallas has consistently found talent, developed players, and built a roster that looks impressive on paper. But Wolchuk raised the question that matters most: if the drafting is so good, why does the ceiling remain so low? He suggested that drafting well doesn't matter if the surrounding structure doesn't allow those players to thrive when it matters most. Coaching decisions, game management, adaptability, and roster balance all play a role. And when the Cowboys reach the playoffs, those cracks become canyons. Wolchuk argued that Dallas drafts as if the regular season is the goal, not the Super Bowl. That's a heavy statement, but it's one that hits close to home. Because year after year, the Cowboys look like one of the most talented teams in football, and year after year, they're outcoached, out-adjusted, or out-physicaled in the playoffs. Zach Wolchuk wasn't saying the Cowboys are bad. He was saying they're incomplete, and worse, they don't seem to recognize why. He also touched on the culture around the team, and this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. The Cowboys are constantly in the spotlight. Every move is dissected, every quote is amplified, every loss becomes national news. Wolchuk suggested that this environment has created a comfort zone where being relevant is sometimes mistaken for being successful. And that is a dangerous line to blur. When you're always talked about, always trending, always on TV, it can feel like you're doing something right even when the results don't back it up. Wolchuk implied that the Cowboys might be victims of their own brand, a team so valuable and visible that urgency gets diluted. Because no matter what happens, the Cowboys will still dominate headlines. But headlines don't hang banners. And that's where the frustration boils over for fans. Zach Wolchuk gave a voice to that frustration. He didn't rant aimlessly. He didn't just yell "same old Cowboys" and move on. He broke down why it keeps feeling the same. Why optimism feels forced. Why patience feels like an excuse rather than a plan. What makes this moment different is that these comments didn't come from a random fan or a hot take artist chasing clicks. They came from someone who understands the game, understands the business, and understands the psychology of sports fandom. Wolchuk knows what Cowboys fans want: honesty. Not promises, not spin, not future talk. Honesty about where this team really stands. And the truth is uncomfortable. The Cowboys are good, but not great. Talented, but not fearless. Structured, but not adaptable. Zach Wolchuk's attack wasn't meant to tear the team down, it was meant to challenge them to be better. To stop pretending that marginal changes will lead to massive results. Christian Parker will now be under a microscope. Every decision, every adjustment, every result will be judged not just on performance, but on whether this hire represents progress or more of the same. Free agency will be scrutinized move by move, not just for who the Cowboys sign, but for who they let slip away. And the draft will once again carry the weight of unrealistic expectations because of choices made months earlier. Zach Wolchuk didn't create these pressures. He just put them into words. And sometimes that's more powerful than any statistic or highlight reel. The Cowboys still have time. Time to prove critics wrong. Time to show that their philosophy can evolve. Time to demonstrate that ambition outweighs comfort. But time is not unlimited, and the margin for error gets thinner every year. So when you hear Zach Wolchuk sounding off on the Cowboys, don't dismiss it as hate. Don't label it as negativity. Listen to what's actually being said. Because buried beneath the frustration is something every Cowboys fan wants: accountability. A team that matches its confidence with action. A franchise that stops telling fans to wait and starts giving them something real to believe in.